Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
USA international break. It happened. All right. Let's get into it. All right. First match of the US international break. We had a 2-1 loss to Canada. USA had 58% of the possession. USA also had 8 shots. 5 of them were on target. Canada had a total of 17 shots. 7 were on target. The goals that came from Canada was from Schaffelberg at the 17-minute mark, which, if you guys have been keeping up with Schaffelberg, there needs to be a lot more attention towards him because he looks good. He looked good. He looked good in Copa America. He looks great. He looked great in this match as well. He was definitely a problem. And then Jonathan Davis scored in the 58th minute mark. The only U.S. goal came from Luca De La Torre, who was a substitute coming off in the 66-minute mark. Things to note from the lineup. USA did have a 4-3-3 lineup. At goalkeeper, you had Schulte, Joe Scally, Richards, Ream, and Lund were the back four. In the midfield, you had Johnny Cardozo, Yunus Musa, and Malik Tillman playing in that midfield. Tillman kind of playing that cam role. And then the forwards were Aronson, Pulisic, and Balogun on top. The subs that came in was Cade Cowell, Aiden Morris, Ricardo Pepi, Luca De La Torre, and Haji Wright. Obviously, Luca De La Torre, the player that ended up scoring the only goal for the U.S. Yeah, man, this was just Canada's just going to be the better team now, man. If USA and Mexico cannot fix their issues, Canada's gonna be on top for a while, man. There's really no issues going on, man. Their players are humming. Their players, Canada was definitely a very positive note for CONCACAF in Copa America, and they're keeping that form going. They get their first win in U.S. soil in many years. I think they said like 60 years, 67 years, something around that. Yeah, it was the big thing that I took away from it was that Tim Ream. It's just time. It's time to move on from Tim Ream. Has he been very commendable in his performances? I think so, but I think now age is just going to be a factor, especially in international play. So I think for sure the center back pairing is going to be a big focal point. I think Schulte wasn't too bad. Yes, they gave up 2 goals. I don't necessarily think the goals were his fault too much. But the thing I did take away though was that goalkeeper is definitely a very wide open position. Like there's not a guaranteed number 1 for the USA right now. And then my other thing was just a goal. The goal had to come from a substitute. Not only that, but the goal came from a guy who scored his first ever goal, and it was a midfielder. So Luca Del Torre, which I'm very high on, it's not necessarily his playing. Like he is not necessarily going to be a goal scorer, but you know what? Hey, he scored one. So, but yeah, 2-1 loss to Canada, first loss to Canada in home soil in many years. So that, yeah, not a good look for the USA in that first one. I think most people knew Canada was going to be a challenge. I don't think necessarily everyone thought that, oh, we're going to brush over Canada. Like Canada has gotten better, and especially now with Jesse Marsch, they've looked really well. They've had, like I said, they were the standout CONCACAF team in Copa America. They played very well, made it to the semifinal. So I think that there is a lot of positives to talk about when it comes to Canada. So yes, it was a tougher matchup. I just feel like it's lacking. It's lacking with this US team, man, and it's frustrating to see that. the second match, which a lot of people felt what should have been an easier matchup, which was against New Zealand. It was a 1-1 draw. USA had 67% of the possession. USA had 17 shots, 5 of them were on target. New Zealand only had 8 shots, 3 of them were on target. Christian Pulisic scored the goal on the 69th minute. Nice. Mind you, Christian Pulisic came on as a sub in the game. So that's another match where a substitute has to come in and score a goal. But 20 minutes later, New Zealand Ben Waine scores the game tying goal in the 89th minute mark. The formation that the USA used in this one was the 4-2-3-1 formation, which is the formation that I mentioned that Pochettino prefers. This one we did have Matt Turner at goalkeeper. In the back line, we had Marlon Fossey making his first debut, which U.S. soccer, we need to do a little bit better. Maybe don't put a picture of Marlon Fossey in black and white and in all red caps. Put cap to announce that this is his debut because look, it's not necessarily a phrase that I say because obviously I'm 32 years old, but you know, a lot of people thought that you guys meant Marlon Fossey died. So just wanted to point that out. It was kind of weird. You know, there we are. So, but Marlon Fossey, in fact, not capped. Okay, so he did make his first appearance, which he got his first cap as a USMNT player. But yeah. Richards gets another start. We got McKenzie starting along with him. Lund once again on that left side. In the midfield, it was Musa, Morris, and Pepe. Pepe playing in that cam spot for the U.S. And then in the forwards was Aronson once again, Haji Wright this time playing on the wing, and Balogun playing striker. I figured that we probably would see Wright on the wing at some point because of the fact that he can also play on the wing. But the subs that came in was Caleb Wiley, Cade Cowell, Christian Pulisic, who scored the goal, Luca De La Torre, Johnny Cardozo, and Malik Tillman came into this game. Yeah, I think for this game, the big takeaways that happened in the international break was one, the goals had to come from the subs. Not necessarily a great game for starters. So number one takeaway, goals had to come from substitutes. So it can be a good thing when you're winning, right? When you're winning and you can bring a player in and can continue what the team is doing is great. Two, I felt that both performances were very much lacking, not to what I usually expect from this U.S. team. And mind you, Berhalter, I've seen better performances from Berhalter. Like I feel Berhalter could have beat New Zealand. I know for a fact Berhalter ball could have beat New Zealand, and it didn't. But also you had an interim coach who somehow got the job for San Diego FC, so that's impressive. I think Christian Pulisic, in an interview when it was finally announced that Pochettino has signed a contract, about what they're hoping that Pochettino can do, and he talked about the mentality of this team. That the mentality of this team needs to be fixed right away, and all I have to say is that's not a coach issue. That's not a coach issue. Mentality? You want a coach to bring mentality into the team? That comes from the fucking players. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. Like, you're talking about a thing that comes from fucking having seasoned veterans, not even a veteran, just having a player that comes in with the right attitude to get guys hyped for the game. Let them know, hey, we're still in this. We're still in this. If you're telling me there's nobody in that locker room that does that, then that is a huge problem. That means, like, I'm gonna be honest. I would whatever Pochettino ends up, feeling that that's his players for the U.S. men's national team. I hope we move on from certain players because if you're telling me that locker room cannot hype themselves up for a match, can't have a winning mentality against fucking Canada. I know Canada's gotten better, but still, against Canada and fucking New Zealand, you can't have a winning mentality going into a game against New Zealand. That is not a coach issue. That is a fucking player issue. Tactics is one thing. Preparation's another thing. But fucking mentality is not something that you look at the coach, what do you think? No. That comes from the players. It comes from the captain. If you're the captain of the team and you can't bring in a winning mentality, you can't infect this team with a winning attitude, with a having dog mentality, then that's a huge, bigger issue than what you think a coach could bring. Because I'll tell you this, when you look back at the teams, the old USA teams, I'll go back to the 2014 team. That team had fucking dog mentality. That team was dogs all around that roster. And it was a good representation of who their captain was, which was Clint Dempsey, who is 100% a dog. And you're telling me that you can't you can't get your team motivated enough to have a dog mentality against New Zealand. Yes, that is a player issue. A coach isn't going to fix that. That's a player thing. That's a locker room thing. You look at your veterans. You look at Matt Turner. You look at freaking Christian Pulisic. Yes, this is a young team, but there's got to be guys that can step up and bring mentality into it. And if you're fucking veteran players, the guys that have been in that locker room a lot longer than everybody else has, those are the guys that need to be fucking getting at you. But if your complaint is fucking mentality, then you don't deserve to wear that captain's armband. And I've said it plenty of times, bro. Like the real true captain of the USA is Tyler Adams. I've said it plenty of times. I think Tyler Adams is a true captain. Unfortunately, he just can't stay healthy. I don't know who the captain of the USA is. Probably, honestly, could have probably been Tim Ream for the first game, but I just don't think he has it anymore. Christian Pulisic is going to have to re-earn that captain's armband for me. That's just me. Some people are ready to be like, oh, old man yells at cloud again. I don't fucking care. If you're fucking complaining about mentality, that you're hoping fucking Pochettino could come in and bring in a winning mentality, which he will. Your coach's job is to set a standard. Let the team know what the standard is. It is the players that uphold that standard. And if you're not able to do it, you shouldn't wear the fucking captain's armband. That's just plain straightforward. You have no right to wear that armband then. If you can't uphold a standard, and even if you have an interim coach and you still believe that there should be a standard that needs to be upheld, you fucking make that locker room know that standard is there. And you didn't. So, yeah, it's fucking alarming, man. It is fucking alarming. That is not what you want to hear from your fucking captain, from your fucking best player. Whatever you want to fucking say about it, man. You fucking complain about mentality. You're hoping that the new coach can bring in a winning mentality. That's what you fucking care about is mentality, dude. What I'm hoping Pochettino brings in is, yes, a winning culture. Development. Proper scouting. A form of tactics that's going to best benefit these players. Because once again, the system is not dictated by the coach. The system is dictated by the players. If your players are capable of playing the system that you think works best, and I think that Pochettino is going to be able to do those things. He's going to set a standard. He's going to let everybody know what the standard is for the U.S. men's national team from here on out to the end of his contract. And hopefully he gets re-signed again if he's able to prove himself in 2026. He's going to set what the standard is. He's going to set the tone of what he expects from this camp. But it is on the players to uphold to that standard. It is on the players to police their own. It is on the players to make sure that Pochettino's vision is being lived up to. I think the other issue, I'm pointing out, my other issue is that we're gonna need a fucking captain because I don't think Christian Pulisic is a captain. I've said it plenty of times. I've said it. I'll say it many more. Christian Pulisic is not capable of being a captain. He could be your best player when things get rough. Who do you look at? You look at Christian Pulisic. When something needs to be done, you look at Christian Pulisic. But that doesn't mean that he's a captain. He's not very vocal. Many people have said he's very introverted. And there's been many great leaders in sports that are introverted. Andre Johnson, one of the greatest leaders in Houston Texans history. I know that not many people know about Houston Texans football, but Andre Johnson, a great leader. He was a lead by example kind of guy. Christian Pulisic can't do that because, like I told you, a leader lets the team know that there is a standard. When Andre Johnson speaks, everybody listens because one, he doesn't really talk that much, but still, that's what a leader is. When the leader talks, you shut the fuck up and you listen. Andre Johnson uphold the standard of what the Texans should be, and he made sure that everyone understood it. That is a real leader. You can be an introvert and still be a great captain. Christian Pulisic is not a great captain. He's a good role. He's a great player. When, like I said, when things get rough, you look at him to make something happen. Just like how he did in New Zealand, he scored the first goal in the game in the 69th minute, which is great. That's what he does. That's what he's supposed to do. But if you're complaining about the mentality of the team, that's on you. That is on you. You are the most seasoned player in that locker room. That just tells me you don't say anything. You just see whatever's going on and you just let it happen. That is not the representation of a captain. So, yeah, USA, not only does Pochettino need to apparently fix the mentality of the team, you need to find a fucking captain because Christian Pulisic ain't it. So, we'll see what happens, man. Obviously, there was a lot of players missing for these friendlies. Weston McKennie wasn't there. You didn't have Timothy Weah, who was injured. You're Tyler Adams once again with injuries. Gio Reyna was actually scratched from this call-up because he got hit with a groin injury in camp, so Cade Cowell came in. So it's not so we didn't really get to see like the full squad, but at the same time, it wasn't Pochettino's team, right? Pochettino may have had some say on who got brought in, but I think when we actually see Pochettino, on that bench, actually, in that manager's box and actually talking, making sure that players know what's going on and what he sees out on the field, then we'll really assess what Pochettino is going to do for the U.S. But I think from this game, this international friendly, the way I'm going to look at it, it was the stress test. If you ever watch Bar Rescue, the stress test is you just throw them in the fire and see what happens. Like, how do they persevere? Do they struggle? How do they respond to that struggle? All those things. I think that this is what it was. It was a stress test for what Pochettino needs to look and see what needs to be corrected when he takes over. And I think, like I said, Bar Rescue is probably the best example. That this was a stress test. Now Pochettino has to be John Taffer and start yelling at everybody and get this place in a position where it's going to be set for years and years to come. Because Pochettino, this is a really big job. I think that this is an exciting job for any coach to have the opportunity to set a standard of how soccer is going to be conducted in the country. And I think that's what why Pochettino took this job.